Hey, can you hear me?
There we go. There's my audio. Let me see if Julia or Jeffrey are in here.
They're
No?
not. I haven't seen them now.
Okay. All right. Well, we got 4 minutes. I was waiting because it's the last meeting. It says you have a recording that needs to be converted, and it's just really slowly ticking along. And I was hoping that
It took me a long time. So evidently whoever logs in first has to do that, because when I logged in first, the second session, it took a long time to convert all of that.
yeah.
So I guess whoever starts it defaults to that person to do that.
Yeah. Okay.
So how do you feel so far?
Mixed. How about you?
Same. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, we can talk more offline.
yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm realizing is it's recording it from the very beginning, and if we're sharing it out,
All this will be recorded, won't it?
yeah, I set it to record automatically, which is fine. I'm wondering if there's a way to edit that.
We'll
find
figure it out later.
Yeah.
Okay. I still don't see.
Yeah, I still don't see them. Oh, there she is, isn't it?
Blair.
Hi, Julia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has. I have been deliberately making space in my transition from one company to another.
Sure.
So now the air is a little cleaner in that way.
Good.
You can imagine. So yes.
Good. Well, it's great to see you.
Yeah, you too. Oh,
Hi.
Jeffrey.
Jeff. So that's my business partner, Mr. Jeffrey Jordan.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hello, hello. How are you?
I'm well. Nice to meet you.
Good. Nice to meet you.
I should go put my Kigrit t-shirt on.
You absolutely should. I just did a superhero change.
Okay, I'll be right back. You guys get to know each other.
Hello, Christine. How are you?
Good. How are you? It's nice to see your
I'm
face
well.
now.
Good to see you.
You're joining us from New Jersey, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
We got Julia in California.
And where are you guys? I'm sorry.
We're Virginia.
Virginia. That's right.
We're all over, so
Mm-hmm.
people all across the state.
Well, you're close to me. You're only a car ride away.
Yeah, this is true.
Mm-hmm.
Voila.
There you
Hey.
go. Little Brandy.
Beautiful.
So how are you guys doing?
We're good.
How's Virginia? What's going on in Virginia?
It's good. It's kind of like everywhere else, you know.
Yeah.
We have a doctor for a governor, a medical doctor. So, you know, that can be good, I think, during these times. But anyways, we're at time. So
Yep.
we need to start letting people in, and I'm super excited to hear what you guys are doing.
So I'll just start with like a quick interview of you guys, and I'm going to read your bio and then I'll turn it over to you. And then after you finish and you hit the mark at like 3:15ish, I'm actually going to do a few closing remarks and then throw a survey into the chat.
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I forgot my lip gloss.
Hi, welcome everyone that's just joining us. We are going to give just another minute or two to allow folks to trickle in, and then we will get started. All right, well, I am not seeing a whole bunch of names pop up on the admit into the room, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started with introductions, and if we have some other folks join us, they can just kind of trickle in. So everybody knows me by now, Christine. We are here today with Julia Gabor and Jeffrey Jordan from KidGrit. We are really excited to have them here. They're going to be presenting on 5 mindful ways to shift the climate of your program. Julia is an award-winning educator. She's the grateful co-founder of KidGrit. KidGrit is a curriculum with a new holistic approach to youth development, which encompasses mindfulness, social and emotional learning, character education, digital and social media awareness, and finishes off with a project in service of learning. She recently accepted the role of blog manager at Boost Collaborative. Julia spent 17 years working with esteemed organizations such as LA All-Stars, Tiger Woods Foundation, and Right Brain Books. Jeffrey L. Jordan is a passionate social entrepreneur who has built several businesses, including a holistic health, wellness, and life coaching practice in New Jersey. His passion is centered on holistic youth development, mentoring, and kinetic life coaching. His mission has been dedicated to mind, body, spirit approach to personal empowerment and life balance for adults, families, and youth of all ages. In addition to co-founding KidGrit, Jeffrey has most recently served as the Associate Director of Athletics at New Jersey City University and previously led Sportica Sports as their CEO during their startup phase in 2016 through 2018. Jeffrey served on the executive board of the Mentor, a nonprofit organization that provides social emotional workshops and character development programs to middle school boys in Los Angeles in 2017 and 2000 and beyond. Okay, so with that, I should also mention that we have Marcia Granderson here from Department of Ed, if anybody has any questions that are related to 21st century. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Julie and Jeffrey.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We are so excited to be here and, acknowledging that this is a new format. It's not the way that we thought we'd see you this year. We're excited. Our 1 hour with you will actually be pretty interactive, and we hope that you will appear magically and open up your cameras and let us see you, because it's the best way to connect with each other. I want to let Jeffrey begin and just open us up really quickly with a little bit of backstory. And I will remind you that this session is really built for a longer period of time. We're going to focus on our one activity that encompasses 5 different ways to work with youth and staff. But usually we would do something a little bit longer and really dive in. Now we're going to dive in deep into one strategy that's going to be able to help with all of your kids, whether you're working online or whether you're working in person. But I'm gonna let Jeffrey kind of welcome us in for just a couple minutes.
Yes, thank you, Julia, and really great to be here, regardless if it's only virtual. We really enjoy, our in-person opportunities to really connect so that we can, feel energy, etc. So, one of the things that it's extremely important to us is that we let you know why we're in this work, and the background that Julie and I share, it's similar because we grew up and around each other in New York City back in the early 70s. And specifically for me, I was born in Indiana, and as the story will go, was essentially airdropped into New York City around 1973. My mother went on a vacation and she didn't return. She just told my grandparents to put the boy on a plane. So I took my first solo flight at age 6, got to New York City, amazed at all the big buildings, and wondered what was in store for me. And in 2 short years, I realized that at age 8, I was there to raise my mother, who was addicted to drugs and alcohol. And it created an opportunity for me to learn certain survival skills and not only taking care of myself, but taking care of my mother as well, and all those issues that came a part of it. So I knew what I was lacking. I had a brief period where I thought this was just normal what I was happening to me. But then as I started to socialize and see how other people lived, it was clear to me that I was missing certain things, certain guidance, certain examples or role models in my life. And everything that I learned on the street. So a lot of it was influence of certain street characters, etc. And by the grace of God, I was, spared going down a bad path, and ended up taking the best of the lessons that I learned, and came away with a clear understanding and connection of providing service to others, because quite simply, I didn't want any child to feel the way that I did. And I know Julia's story is somewhat similar, but at the end of it, we wanted to take our experience, and later on in life, as we had some experience in education and in after school programming and nonprofit sectors, we reconnected when we both needed each other the most, and started working together in a kind of holistic way, coaching, trying to navigate some of the professional and personal struggles that we had. And we came away with seeing that if we combine the best of everything of us, we could create a new type of approach to education that would focus in on holistic development. And we charted out and formed KidGrit, which is essentially a holistic approach to human development. But we focus in on youth as well as staff. And we focus in on some modules that you're going to be exposed to today, which is the mind, body, connection, digital consciousness. And then the fifth module is having the ability to display the mastery of learning. So that in a nutshell is a little bit of how we got together. We decided to tell this at the beginning so that we can clearly let it be known that we're not corporate trainers. We're not salespeople. We're not, sent from corporate headquarters. Everything that we've done in terms of our trainings with educators, our professional development activities, the curriculum that we have for students, activities and support that we have for families, is all born out of our experience, of our life experience. It's passion-driven work from Julie and myself. We wear it on our sleeves. We've made tremendous sacrifices to get to this point, and we're a small company, but we are really changing the world, one client at a time. And I know that sounds cliche, but the more that we can pour into educators and build them up so that when the time comes for them to facilitate the same type of principles in the work, there's no disconnect. And that's what you're going to find today. So thanks for listening to that, and back to you, Jules.
Thank you. And I also want to not ignore what's happening in our country right now. And my mentor and I were talking about running sessions today on education, and really not ignoring what's happening in our country. So I wanted to ask Blair for permission to just take a kind of moment of silence in recognition of what's happening. Without getting, it's not an agenda, but it's really in respect of, what's happening with blackout, social media. Blair, is that okay with you? Okay.
Yeah, and that's something that we did in a prior session as well, but I would love for us to do it again.
Okay. So however you need to, appreciate you guys coming on screen. We're just going to take a moment of silence, really in reference to all of the unrest that's going on right now. It means a lot to all of us, and we stand with this movement of acknowledgement of, what's happening. And not just, I'm not talking about COVID, I'm talking about, this enormous push for speaking out and standing up and showing up right now for the inequities in this country. So at this time, I'd really appreciate and to put a moment of energy and silence for today. Okay. Thank you so much. And okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to throw up a PowerPoint, and we're going to start by just describing a little bit about. We're going to ask you a question first, and hold on while I open it. I'm going to share my screen, and at any time, if you guys have questions or if you want to support what we're doing, you can use the chat box. You can use the reaction button. You can show snaps. You can interrupt us. We don't mind. And here we go. So the question that we have, and you can put these in the chat box or unmute, is, can you guys see my screen? Great. What are your biggest challenges with student behavior, and what strategies are you currently using? And some of you are working online right now, and you can speak from that point of view, and some of you have not been in touch with students yet. So however we come back into fall, or what you know from the past, this is a broad question, but what are some of the challenges that you're seeing with behavior, and what strategies are you currently using? So let's just start to throw some answers into the chat box. Let's see what you guys, give you a couple seconds. So behavioral challenges. Okay, I'm seeing defiant, disrespectful, profanity. Yeah, so online participation. When we're in school, getting students to want to participate in homework help and academic tutoring. Parents are frustrating with not knowing if kids are doing work. That probably has to do with online learning. Okay, disrespect, right? Nonstop chatting. I think that also could be in person in classroom, or it could be online. Right, so frustration, disrespect, lack of focus, profanity. Yeah. Hi. Behaviors, cell phone users, take away from academic focus, participating activities, and general focus. Yeah. Yes, you know, so thanks for that. Kids not being kind to one another. Yeah, for sure. You know, one of our, here's more positive discipline series when it comes to behaviors with our elementary, middle schoolers, disrespect, fighting, and not engaging in activities, all ages. Thank you so much. So, you know, we're here to talk about a lot of behavior and really where these behaviors come from and how we manage them. We, if you think that we're going to be able to solve all of those problems in the next 60 minutes, I'm sorry, we can't do that, but we will give you some strategies to begin to open the doors to have a conversation about it. So let's talk a little bit about the Kid Grit approach. We work with 5 approaches. Jeffrey kind of mentioned them. The first one is mind and mindfulness and growth mindset, helping kids see themselves as positive contributors and also find ways to take care of themselves. We also work with body, and that's not just movement or gym, that's also food exploration and understanding how they fuel themselves with energy. It has to do with breath and deregulation of stress. And then we work with community and connection, which is our empathy, tolerance, cultural diversity, really, you know, understanding backgrounds of people, ethnicities, race. And then the 4th approach is digital and social media consciousness, right? We believe that this should be a part of 7th grade sex ed and health education, right? Where we need to show kids how to make the right choices, how to balance their behaviors, and especially now that we are doing distance learning and we, again, don't know what's going to happen in the fall yet. It's going to be different in every school district. We have to show how kids can manage their behavior online responsibly and with thought and healthily. And then lastly, we have we have this mastery of learning, which are these action projects. So any activity that you do, you want them to be able to put it into real time. And that way it becomes a 21st century skill. It becomes something that they can apply in real life, that they can talk about, they can articulate about each other too. Okay, so I'm gonna check the chat box real quick. And see.
Yeah, but as you do that, can I just elaborate on something?
Yes.
We talked about the diversity of what we do as a company, and we're talking about these foundational approaches that Julia just went into detail for. But the really cool thing is that we incorporate these approaches in all the work that we do with educators, frontline staff, superintendents, districts, individual programs. They're the same approaches, and we have content wrapped around each of them. So obviously for the curriculum for the students, but also for you. And one of the things that Julia and I just talked about in this last hour is that we focus everything that we do, that, like, this is for you. We pour into the educator, we pour into the leadership community, because this is how important this approach is to us, is that we can do this for you. We can fill your cup. We can love onto you. We can get you a certain amount of self-awareness around these holistic areas of your own personal wellness, so that by the time that you get to the kids, to the youth, there is that limited possibility for the disconnect that I mentioned before. So I just wanted to touch on that this is good for the students and good for us as well as leaders.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next slide now. Thanks, Jeffrey. And hopefully most of you have downloaded this. I'm gonna come back to you. I wanna see if you can, with thumbs up, that you either have it, or if you're showing your face, thumbs down. I put it in the chat box, but this is a document that we're gonna be using. So I'm gonna stop share for a second. Okay, great, thanks, Brian, Susan, Lisa. I'm gonna put it in the chat box again, just so if you came on later and you need to get it, you can look at it while we're working together. Thanks for your thumbs up, beautiful. And okay, I'm seeing about 50% of you. If you don't have it, I'm going to pull it back on the PowerPoint again. Thanks for, yep, right, have it, that's great. I'm going to pull up the PowerPoint. I'm going to tell you how to either draw it or use it just as a kind of assessment tool for yourself. So I'm going to share my screen again. I like to give directions while I'm going through them, so you can see this and know what I'm doing. So here is our holistic wellness wheel. If you downloaded it, you'll see the definitions. They're pretty, most of them are pretty self-explanatory. So let me just share the definitions first. And the ones that you'll need the most help with here are self-awareness. So self-awareness is really understanding how you feel in a moment, and where you're holding tension, and what kind of reaction you're having. And then if you skip over to the left, you're going to see self-management. Self-management is, what do you do when you're self-aware? If you are in an emotional state, or if you're in a calm state, how do you act? How do you manage your emotions? Right? So these are just, I'm just breaking these down pretty simply. Responsible decision-making. It's like, for me, for Julia, I am a really responsible eater during the day. And then when night comes, the little green monster comes up and goes, eat more, eat more. You have stress. Put more, maybe you're taking a little bit more, cheese this week. And so maybe I'm not making responsible decisions. Family communication. This wheel is different than our usual wheel, right? This is for our COVID guide, which is a free guide. Jeffrey's going to put the link in the chat box. So we have two different wheels. This one is focused on the pandemic crisis, which belongs to a guide that is free SEL about COVID-19 for kids and for students to use, and educators to use. So in this wheel, family communication comes up is, what's happening in the home right now? Are you guys relating to each other, really fluidly? Did you get used to it? Are you on top of each other? Is there a lot of fighting right now? Is it uncomfortable? Is the house messy? Do you feel peaceful when you come into the house? Breathing. How are you breathing right now during COVID-19? Are you holding your breath because you're stressful? Are you nervous because you always have a mask on when you go outside? Are you being conscious that breath is a way to help you not be stressful when you're at home? How much are you washing your hands? Are you relaxing now that you feel like maybe it's not a big deal anymore because it seems like we flattened the curve? Or are you still washing your hands? And how have you been taking care of others during COVID-19? Have you been able to reach out, be generous, really understand that other people are having a different experience, right? Everybody says, oh, we're all in this together. Well, guess what? We're all experiencing this at the same time, but we are not experiencing the same things at the same time.
Julie, if I could, there was a great thing that popped up yesterday in some conversations and sessions I was having was you know how some people say we're all in the same boat? Well, we're not in the same boat. We're in the same water, right? We have different, you know, boats. All our circumstances are different, but to look at it in that way really helped me. And just to support what you're saying is like, we're not all on the same, you know, level of anything. And just to know that we're in the same water dealing with all of these things is helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks. Okay, so social distancing, how are you doing with that? Self-care, are you taking care of yourself? Are you eating more? Are you drinking more? Are you exercising more? Did you go in the opposite direction, right? And how do you understand the crisis with like news that's going on or messages from family members? How do you feel confidently in that? So now here's what you're gonna do. If you have the wheel, you're going to, we say, plot your dots. And that means that if you're feeling confident and if you're feeling like, I got this, I'm doing really well, I'm going to demonstrate here. You're going to put a check mark or a dot on the wheel. And if you're feeling like, you know, you're not doing well and you need work or room to grow, we say, or that you have to work on it, you might, all right, I'm relaxed there. You might put a dot down towards the center. And then what you do when you finish, I don't feel like I understand that, here and here.
Yeah. Let me just chime in and help you. So if you look at the center of the circle as a 0 and the outside towards the periphery of the wheel is 100, that scale of 0 to 100, you can do it as a percentage. So looking at social distancing, it looks like Julie is pretty good at about 60%. Self-care, it looks like she's struggling at about 10%. So that's kind of how you look at it, or you can look at it.
Yeah.
If that's helpful.
If you don't have the wheel, this is for everybody who doesn't have the wheel. Take those 10 terms, write them on a piece of paper, and then just rate yourself. We say like from 1 to 5, or if you're doing 1 to 10, whatever, 1 being the lowest, and then 5 or 10 being the highest. 1 to 5 is easier for me, but so just write the terms down, and then rate yourself from, I'll say, 1 to 5. So we're going to give you a couple minutes to do that, to really spend time looking at these 10 sections. And Jeffrey, talk about being honest.
Okay, I'm gonna, in this new environment we're in, I'm gonna apologize because a car just pulled up near to my driveway and my dog might lose his mind. So just preparing you. But the great part of the true value in this exercise is if you can commit to not BSing yourself. Because the only way to move on from this reflection and this assessment and looking at what you have in front of you is if you have the ability not to believe your own BS, and you can chart out certain next action items to help improve. So if you BS yourself and you're not genuine and authentic in what you're putting down here, it's not going to be effective. And it's the same way that we want to make sure that we talk to our colleagues, our coworkers, and ultimately youth that we work with, is just to be very, very open and honest with yourself as you evaluate this. Ask questions about those definitions. This whole exercise is an epitome of self-awareness. So being able to be truthful with yourself is the most essential thing.
Thanks. So take 2 minutes to plot your dots. When you're done, you can put in the chat box, done, 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 finished, completed. Ask questions if you want to. Open up your mics if you want to. Let us know, and then we will continue with the second part of this activity.
Love you.
They're outside on the freaking ground.
They were on the ground. Dylan's keys were? Why?
Just a reminder that you've all been unmuted. You've all been unmuted, so you
burn a
might
house
want
down
to.
with a kid in it. Freaking people are nuts. Assholes.
Oh,
Oh my god, I'm so lost right now. I gotta turn this up.
Christine, I think it's Billy Caudill.
I had it
Can
muted.
you mute her?
I can't get my card up so mine now.
Thanks. Oh, awesome. Life happens. It's the new welcome to my home office. Okay, I think there's a question in the chat box here, and somebody said self-distracting, elaborate. I don't see self-distracting.
Yeah.
Social distancing, self-management, or self-awareness. Jennifer? Done. Okay, all good, all good.
Jennifer, I love the self-awareness. Yes, the glasses, they do help. I get caught up as well.
So again, if you're writing on a piece of paper, you've listed yourself 1 being the lowest and 5 being high. We're gonna get to, Jeffrey, will you talk about the connection while I actually annotate and connect the dots?
It would be my honor, partner. Yes, so now that you've plotted your dots, as Julie had mentioned earlier, what we want to do is connect the dots from one segment to the next. If you look, Julie's doing a fantastic job of annotating here and connecting her dots. And what you want to do once complete, you will have a diagram, a representation of these certain areas of your holistic wellness wheel as it relates to the COVID crisis. And you can be able to make some decisions on what we can do to, or what you can do to help improve in these areas, which I'm sure we're going to transition into, Julia. I know it's an abbreviated format,
Yep.
but if you want to guide them through the next steps.
Okay, let's give everybody another, 60 seconds to plot their dots. Okay, thanks, Christine.
Yeah, no problem, Christine. No problem at all. I actually was hacked, Julia, for the first time ever, like legit yesterday, with 135 people on the line.
No.
There was hackers, and it was ugly, but thank God we were able to get them out. That was my first experience. I don't know if you had experienced it before, but this was really bad.
Okay. Okay, all right, so you plotted your dots, and let's see what's happening now. I'm gonna stop share here. Okay, done, thanks. Okay, everyone. So now, I don't, in a normal, also we facilitate so that you would also learn how to facilitate the way we do in this place. we would, if you had breakout rooms and you were using Zoom with your staff or students, we would put you all into breakout rooms and we would ask this question: what did you observe, or what do you see about your wheel? Like, what are just some observations about your wheel? So this is a great time to show your face and ask questions, share with the group. We have 37 people on the call, to really share what you can about what you notice about your wheel. What are your first observations about your wheel? Okay, Jennifer says several flat sides. If you could elaborate, that would be amazing. And anyone else can unmute themselves and just share, what did you see? What did you notice about your wheel?
And if I may, Julia, one of the things that I neglected to say before is this is a snapshot, right? This is a indication of how you are feeling today with your assessment in these areas. Not that it'll be like this forever, not that it was like this 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago, but we all have a starting point.
Who would like to share with their voice? Diane does.
I will. I came in late. And what I saw reminded me, having come through the door from outside, that no, I'm still not as good as I should be with hand washing, number one. So I was really grateful for that. But then the balance between how much self-care is not being attended to and the effect that has. Family care, high, self-care, low. And I'm not sure what kind of effect that has on my whole dynamic, but in looking at the drawing of others, you can see that it's distorted.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, we're educators, right? We're people who work with kids. So it's really easy for us to take care of everyone else around and then neglect our own needs, our health, our wellness, you know, and so that's very common when we do these sessions. You know, we're working with states in South Dakota and Massachusetts and, you know, California, Florida, and everyone is on that part. There's a commonality. By show of thumbs up, everyone, did anyone else see something similar that Diane said, that she's taking care of others really well, but not maybe taking care of herself, right? Susan, Shireen, Ciola, Sarah, Blair, Christine, right? Elizabeth, Robin, Kelsey, Rachel, Sarah, right? Like this is a commonality, right? All of a sudden, Lisa, thank you. Like, you're not alone, Diane, Brian. You're not alone, right? You're having an experience that other people are sharing right now. And then does anyone feel like, oh, this has put me into a place where I'm only taking care of myself and screw the world, right? Like, I need to take care of myself right now. There could be that person too, which wouldn't be bad, right? But that would be a difference that, you know, you would be able to see on the wheels. So, oh yeah, and they all wrote, yep. What else, you guys? What else did you see? What do you notice about this wheel, like looking at it this way?
Yeah, I would just like to touch on what Jennifer said in the chat box, and she just noted that several flat sides, and she makes a comment that a wheel needs to be fuller, more round to work. And I want you to remember that as we continue on with this exercise, because we're going to circle back to that.
Okay, go ahead, Ciola, is that how you say it?
Yeah, yes. I came in a little late as well, and just with the rushing from meeting to meeting, being over scheduled now, as far as these overlapping Zoom team meetings that go on all day long. I did notice on the wheel that initially, I mean, if this wheel was maybe 8 weeks ago, the communication and family would have been really high. I was Zooming and reaching out to all of these family members and wanting to talk and make sure everybody's okay. And now that we're like, yeah, 15 weeks, 14 weeks in here, it's kind of like, I don't want to see anybody else on Zoom. The daily toll of the meetings, every day, nonstop, noticing I'm working harder now than I probably have ever worked, as far as 12-hour, 10-hour, from the time you get up to the time you kind of stop, and you have to literally my family has to almost throw away the phone or the computer before I can kind of stop. And even just finding myself on the weekends almost relaxed that I can maybe sit down and do some work without anybody wanting to talk to me on live chat, Zoom, Team, or anything else. And I shouldn't be working on a Sunday, but I find it relaxing almost that nobody's bothering me during that time, so that I can actually concentrate on the work. So the communication factor is low. All of the technology, yes, it's great, but it's also overwhelming.
Thanks for sharing all that.
Yes.
And I want to share also something that you said, if it were 8 weeks ago, and Jeffrey alluded to it also. This wheel is really powerful for really doing assessments that don't look like, I agree, I highly agree, I disagree, I highly disagree. For, again, we're going to always say staff and for students, right? A lot of our teachers throughout the year use our regular wheel. This is the COVID wheel. We have 2 wheels. The regular wheel on Mondays to check on how their kids' weekend was without saying that. Instead of being like, so Jesse, how was your weekend? They say, everybody, let's do our wheel, let's check in. And then they compare them from week to week to week and say, what's shifting right now? Well, what's happening that it's shifting, right? Where do you notice that you can control some of those factors, and where can't you, right? Where's your self-awareness? How are you managing it? So you're giving them a vocabulary list. You're also showing them that life changes and that there are ups and downs and that there's room for growth always, and that some days, like maybe 3 weeks, something's going to be super high and then it'll drop down. So you get to ask everyone who's doing it, what does that show you? Right? That this is life, right? This is not arithmetic. It's not math. There isn't one way that this works. This is matters of the heart and the human condition and how we manage ourselves. So when you work with this kind of tool over time, young people are getting used to it. They start to depend on it. It's a way for them to express themselves, have productive conversations in small groups. Again, whether you're Zooming or on Google Classrooms, small groups or in person, and they get to really share what's going on through the lens of the wheel. Our SEL approach is different than a puppet coming in, a video showing kids, saying like, hi kids, I'm Harry the Happy Hippo, and today we're gonna talk about sadness. Have you been sad? Talk to your pair share neighbor and talk about sad. That's not how KidGrit does it. KidGrit uses tools, a little bit disguised learning, a little bit like STEM, where they don't know exactly that they're learning the skills. We're going to get to the next slide soon. That these are research-based frameworks on self-expression, regulating emotions through the lens of the wheel. So I just wanted to, say that about this tool, because you can use it in so many different ways. And then when kids get used to it, or staff, you can ask them to create their own wheel. What do you want to focus on this week? Why don't you create it for the class and see how it goes? And they love it. So then it becomes student voice, student directed. It's a very malleable tool. We have one for K-5 that's a little less complex. And I'll put that in the chat box in a minute. So let's see. I wanted to look at something that was in the chat box here too. Right? Charles said, I wouldn't say screw the world, but I'm taking care of myself. Sorry, Charles. I'm a little, I'm making a point, but I appreciate you. And yes, you should be taking care of yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, right, then who are you going to be for your staff and your students? So thanks for calling me out on that. Diane said, I did that 2 days ago, dropped out, tended to no one else but myself. Yeah, that's good. You have to do that. I think that that's important. And I think if you're a good communicator, you let people know, hey, I'm dropping out, right? So then you're doing both, right? You're letting everyone know, I need to take care of myself right now. Evelyn said that would be me and my husband is in a nursing home and being careful, but I visit and beg. Oh, Evelyn, sending love to you.
Yes.
You're taking care of everyone else. We acknowledge you for that. That's it's a big deal right now, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I was gonna jump on that. I was trying to wait, but I see that some of people have come in the chat box and given their support, and I wanted to touch on that just for a second, Evelyn, because in our other wheel that Julie had referenced, mindful eating is one aspect of it. Relationships is another aspect of it. And here's an example where two areas of the wheel can be affected in a positive way. So you're going out of your way, being intentional of creating a healthy meal and taking it to your loved one. So being mindful about what you're eating, caring for your husband in that environment. So it goes a long way, and we just wanted to offer our support as well. I know everybody is going through something. There's nobody that is unscathed by what's happening. So we send, from Kid Grit, Julie and myself, we really send out that love and support and positive energy for everything that you guys are doing to deal with this. But as you can see, even in these times of crisis, this wheel makes a lot of sense when you look at it, and you can see what little things you can do to help improve in those areas of that you have room for improvement.
Okay. Yes. Thanks for being so articulate, my partner. I'm putting
and Rachel, yes. One good thing, we talk about what the glass is half empty, right? In quarantine and shelter in place, we now have the opportunity to cook more. So it's good to see that you're doing that as well.
Okay. So I'm going to hit the PowerPoint now. One of the other things that we want to talk about is that social emotional learning does not have to be 45-minute lessons. Right? But it is a muscle. We say it's a muscle that you have to build because, the truth is that a lot of people are not talking to kids about emotional regulation, managing their feelings, how to express themselves in a healthy and safe way. But once you start to use activities, it can be from any program. It does not have to be from Kid Grit. And you understand the power, using them in, bite-sized lessons, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes here. Interweaving, if you're doing, let's say you were teaching something about history or about a famous figure and saying, what kind of social emotional skills does this leader have, right? You might talk about somebody in music who is doing a lot of social good, and you can start to identify things where you're giving them information and education where it doesn't have to be 45 minutes and it doesn't have to pull away from your program or classroom. You just have to do it over time and often. So SEL competencies, if you're not familiar with this, Jeffrey, can you put the link in the chat box of CASEL?
Yeah.
If you look at these 5 core competencies, it's a framework from an organization called CASEL, and they're like the mother of social emotional learning that came out with a lot of research and a framework to help schools and programs, whether you have a curriculum or if you just say, I want to work on this in my classroom, I want to work on this in my program. If you look at these 5 areas, and then you look at our wheel that we created, you'll see that there are a lot of opportunities to work on a research-based framework. And so it's important that you know that this is a free resource. You can use it however you want to. They have lessons, they have activities. They're a really good resource for you right now. So our work, everything we do, we always make sure that we align it with this CASEL framework. We also took the opportunity to look at your statewide best practices. And I just wanted to highlight that the work that we do, and through even just doing this holistic wellness wheel, and working on different sections, that the pieces that you've seen that are highlighted, right, that we're, that we are in alignment. This work is aligned with some of your best practices. I don't expect you to read it, but we just took it. I was, looking at what you do, and this is on your website, and I would say that we're 70% aligned with your best practices, right? Offers opportunities to become more globally aware, globally competent. Like if you talk about understanding the crisis, you can take that and make a lesson in the section of the wheel about current events and looking at what's going on in the news and dissecting the news, so that you can understand how different countries, how different cities, how different school districts, how different people are reacting to news. It doesn't have to be about COVID. It could be about race, racism, or about inequities. So there's a lot of opportunity to take sections of those wheels to work on social emotional development, mindfulness, community connection, cultural diversity, and then just different areas there too.
Yeah, and Jules, we're gonna offer these slides to them, right? In a follow-up email. Yeah.
Yep. We'll give it to Blair and Christine.
Yep.
And then lastly, whenever kids do something around social emotional awareness, this is something that we really want to talk about in theory, right? Again, it's a differentiator with KidGrit in terms of social emotional than other programs. But just like Mastery of Learning, or if you run programs that have culminating events, or when kids have to do a presentation, we want them to focus on their own self-awareness. We want them to focus on things that matter to them that come out in these dialogues that you're having, and have them create an activity that promotes their voice, that shows the mastery of learning, that they understand what self-awareness is. Or it could come up cyberbullying, and they can do a PSA, a short video. They can make a poster series. These can be online. Again, they can do posters online, or they can do it in their programs or classrooms. They can create videos for physical activity and movement and body awareness, or a positive social media campaign when you're talking about digital consciousness, right? So anytime you work with kids on social emotional learning, have them put it into practice, because that becomes very powerful. I'm gonna go to the next slide. This is what action projects look like on school grounds. With mindful eating, you'll see in the background, you'll see these posters that say mindful eating. And you'll see that they're giving out, this is during recess, they're giving out free fruits, and they're educating their peers during recess about mindful eating. This is another action project that can be done, like around gratitude, which is a really powerful way to help kids understand what they have versus what they do not have. And they took Post-its on the blacktop in the recess, and they hand them out to everyone and asked them to write something down that they're grateful for. And then these kids set up during recess. These were all during recess. They did a meditation and yoga room. Think about all the kids who do not like recess, and this was a safe place for them to go to mellow out and calm down. They put a video of another kid leading mindfulness. And then this was a great project where the young girls on campus wrote positive messages for their other counterparts, girls, on the mirrors with erasable markers. Positive, you look perfect, and you're enough. Think about all of the social media messaging that's happening, where kids are pulling each other down instead of raising each other up.
Yeah, I love this so much. Definitely my favorite.
So Christine, how are we doing on time? Just so I have.
We are good. We've got about 10 minutes that
Okay.
we would till the end of the KidGrit presentation. Then we just had I had a few closing remarks.
Okay. I'm gonna throw in. We didn't know we'd have time to do this, but I'm gonna throw in another activity again that we can do in person, or we can do online. And this one is called, so I'm gonna ask everyone right now to, if you have your cameras off, okay, but to think mindfully, close your eyes and think of somebody that you want to appreciate, right? Put them in your brain, you know, you say like, put them right in your front of your forehead, somebody that you want to appreciate. Think about who that person is and why do you want to appreciate them? Think to yourself, what is it about them? Is it a quality? See them in your, we say in your mind's eye. See them, see the color of their hair, their eyes, right? See who they, you know, who they are. What is it about them that you appreciate? What is it that you appreciate? And take a pen and paper and write down 3 things. Please write down 3 things that you appreciate about that person. 1, 2, 3. Write them down. I appreciate, we say you could start with I appreciate, and then like I appreciate, and then 1, 2, 3, I appreciate. So you want to write them down. When you're done, let's get a thumbs up or done in the box. Let us know. Thank you. So we know, good, 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 thanks, good. Seeing those thumbs up, done, thank you. Great, awesome. Okay, here's the second part. This is real time. This is real-time SEL and communication. Take a snapshot with your phone and send it, text it, or email it to the person that you just thought of. This is real-time work right now. Because believe me, today, appreciate it in ways that you can't imagine. And know that sometime throughout the day or immediately, you will get a message back from them. And if you get it in the next, 7 minutes, type the response. We always say type the response in the chat box. This has made our trainings really fun because throughout our trainings, people start writing, this is what I heard, this is what I heard. So do that. This is in the our community and connection section where we're creating empathy, right? When our kids do this in person, they can write it down, switch notes, they can speak to each other for 30 seconds, right? And with one person listening and the other person just sharing what they appreciate. But sharing appreciation is a really nice way, especially during hard times, especially during crisis, and then especially just because we are not, I think, often open enough to being able to share. It makes us a little vulnerable to share that. So, and that's okay. It's all positive. Okay, so I want to leave room for some questions right now about the tool, the wellness wheel. I appreciate you. Any questions, comments? I will have a reflection question in a second, but I wanted to throw that other activity in there. And please, if somebody writes you back, put down in the chat box what they said to you.
Jules, I want to mention something. I think it was kind of brought up, but I want to make sure that we point out that in working with youth, you can empower them to be creators of their own segments of the wheel. So as we have the age-appropriate K-3 wheel and some other things, you can engage your students to create their own segments so that they can be a part of creating their own assessment, which is cool as well.
Thanks. All true things. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, taking it to the next level. Real-time SEL. We call that's Kid Grit real-time SEL. in the moment, get a response right away. Okay, great. So we have 4 minutes left, and I'm gonna put the reflection question in the box. This is a super fast, this is like a rapid session, right? So remember, we said 5 mindful ways to shift the climate of your program. We really focused on, you know, one holistic way to manage conversations about things and ways for you to use the wheel to focus on mindfulness, on empathy, on body awareness, stress deregulation, digital and social media consciousness, bringing up that as a conversation. And then action, right? Putting it into action. SEL becomes a little bit to us, if you don't give kids the opportunity to show what they learned, then it's like you don't really know how it impacted them. So these action projects are super powerful and they're really cool. Sometimes they're service learning projects, but that's another thing to think about when you're doing any kind of SEL. And so those are our 5 focuses, and we want you to do them through the wheel. So so we want you to share one thing you liked today, one thing you learned today, or one thing that surprised you today. So that's the reflection question. Okay, Elizabeth said, my friend texted me back. What did your friend say, Elizabeth? What did your friend say? And then, oh, and Evelyn said, my youngest son responded and said, I appreciate you consisting of beliefs. Yeah, right. Did you notice there? Yeah. Right. Oh, and the person that I texted said, I love you 3 times. Right. So that was really nice. So let's get back to the reflection question. We have 2 minutes, you guys. Throw them up in the chat box. What did you like, learn, or what surprised you today? Something that you like, learned in our time together, or surprised you today. Kia said, love the appreciation exercise. The wheel, especially the one for kids, the little one. Kendra, thank you. Surprised by the emotional in-touch aspect. How easy it was to jump in and feel engaged and included. Right on, Diane. Oh, Elizabeth said, she said, love you bunches. I appreciate you with little hearts, right? Ciola said, I like the 2 wheels. Thank you.
Yes, and we're going to include those wheels for you in your package.
The wheel is very engaging. I think kiddos would find it too. Yes. Like the wheel, SEL options on the wheel. The wheel for myself, it was eye-opening. Thank you so much, Shireen, I think. I like the last SEL exercise. It uses technology with potential immediate result. Yeah, that's right, Charles. Love the appreciation. Diane said the emotion of the appreciation activity, so simple, so deep. Blair, like thinking about self-care, I've neglected myself lately, needed that reminder. Yeah, right? Lisa, the wheel is a great tool. Ciola, learn to modify for group current events. Beautiful. Gretchen, like the wheel and appreciation exercise, like SEL as an active tool rather than solely reflection. Yes, Olivia, that's beautiful. We like that you said that. Sarah says, really like the wheel. Amazing. Okay, I think our time has come. And so we just want to thank you. We missed you this year. And we hope we will see you next year in person. Please download, I'm going to put it in again, download this free COVID guide. There's a pop-up on our screen. It's 5 to 10 hours of SEL activities for kids. And you can do them, you know, we do of course offer trainings on it. But it's pretty self-explanatory. It looks like it's written for the classroom because it was, and then all the schools closed. So that's why we do training. We do training to show you how to do it online, like we did with this I Appreciate You activity. So please download it, use it. We have some groups that are really enjoying the topics. It's the topics. Thank you. We really liked having you here today. Blair, Christine, thanks for all your work. And we're going to stay on and listen to your closing remarks.
Great.
Great.
So much.
Thank you, Julia. So I had a few things that I was going to throw in there, and Blair, like, feel free to chime in. But I just wanted to thank everybody for being here today. When we started this training months ago, we didn't really know that we were going to be in this situation in this moment in time that we find ourselves in right now. So first and foremost, just thank you for bearing with us while we did our first ever virtual training day. There were a few little bumps in the road, but thank you for bearing with us while we kind of worked through this technology that we find ourselves in. But you know, then we went along, and we didn't know how relative the topic of social emotional learning would be back when we find ourselves in the midst of a pandemic, and then more recently, you know, just all the issues that our country has with racial inequalities is right there in the forefront right now. And it's just all of this stuff, it affects everybody's social emotional health. We feel it, our kids feel it. So I guess I'm just hoping that, you know, Jeffrey talked about us all being in the same water, that obviously today doesn't change the water that we're in, but hopefully, you know, there were some tools that you guys can take with you today. We have a short survey that we would love for you guys to fill out. I'm going to throw that into the chat box right now. It's super short, and it just has some multiple choice questions and then the option for you to share more further thoughts that you have. But this really helps us hone in on where we can improve and make this the best experience for you all that we can. And then, like we've been saying throughout, we will definitely follow up with slideshows and materials and more information, and get to any questions that we were not able to get to today. So I don't know if Blair has anything else that she wanted to add.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. I really appreciate everybody being with us today, and certainly do miss being with you in person. As Christine said, we had planned to do 4 regional trainings all across the Commonwealth, as we have done in the past, and you know, quickly changed the way that looked. And I'm really excited that we had the Department of Education had asked us to focus on social and emotional learning. And so as Christine said, how timely right now. I think we all need that. And I think that I really love the fact how Jeffrey and Julia, you know, tied in the materials that are designed to serve the young people that we all love working with into how they can help us as well. You know, we need to be very mindful of our own social and emotional health. And I think now that is more paramount than ever. It certainly is in my life. So lots of good things to apply to the programs for the kids that we serve, but also for ourselves. So very grateful for that, and incredibly grateful for Christine. Nice job pulling this together. As she said, this is our first go at virtual learning and professional development. So I think it went really smoothly, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you and for the work that you do to make a positive impact in the young people's lives that we all serve. So peace be with each and every one of you, and continue doing what you're doing. And we'll look forward to coming together again soon.
Thank you, Blair. Thanks for having us. We actually, Julie and I, have shifted intentionally during this time because we want to give you the best of us. And there's so much more that we could explore and help support, you know, your staff and everything. I mean, the possibilities are endless. We're flexible because we are who we are, and you know, we can adjust, and we love to hear from you. So if you have feedback from us, you know, after your discussions and evaluation, that would be greatly appreciated, so we can be better in serving you as well.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and we will be following up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone. Enjoy your afternoon, and some of you may be joining us again next week, and we'd love to see you again. So thank you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.